Good evening. Welcome to a special episode here on Sports Bytes. Tonight, as I promised, we have a lot of people who have the right to talk about the current basketball issues right now. Now, to act as moderator for tonight will be my partner in crime. I'm throwing it to Ernest Hernandez. Ernest.
And what crime is that, Brian? I have to clean my name here. But anyway, thank you very much for the invite, Brian. I'm so glad that I'm going to be moderating this very interesting topic between, of course, the national team, the Gilas national pool, and Kai Sotto. What is the real score there? And what could be next for the young 7'2" center from the Philippines? But anyway, before anything else, I want to let them introduce themselves first. First and foremost, one of my favorite sports journalists of all time. He's like the GOAT of sports journalists here in the Philippines, Mr. Henry Liao.
Hi, I'm Mr. Henry Liao. I'm into sports writing for the last 4 decades. So I know a little about Philippine basketball.
Just a little, just a little.
Yeah.
Okay, but next we have here. Okay, you might see him in your screens already. He is the head coach of the Thailand national team. I got it right, Coach Chris. Coach Chris Daleo.
Yes, that's the announcement. You know, nothing against you, Ernest, but I do miss Kara's smile. Instead, I'd rather have her there instead of you. But since you're taking over the show and she's out, I miss her smiling face. But yeah, I'm Chris Daleo. I'm head coach of the Thailand national team, and thank you very much for having me as a guest.
Well, I'm not as sexy, but you know,
that is definitely true. That is right. She has you beat, hands down.
But of course, if we're gonna talk about a PBA legend right now, he will be sharing to us his thoughts on what is going on with Kai, and of course, our upcoming participation in the Fiba Olympic qualifying tournament. Tony Dela Cruz is here with us from the Alaska Aces.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm Tony Dela Cruz, currently assistant coach for Alaska and director of the grassroots program for Alaska, known as Alaska Partner. So excited to be here tonight.
Well, also, Tony, I think you were also part of the Junior NBA, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, our partnership changed. We're still partnered with the NBA, but I was the director last year of the Junior NBA, sponsored by Alaska. But now our partnership changed this year, and it's a different partnership, but we are still associated with the NBA. And we're looking forward to putting on clinics and camps.
So basically, Kai Sotto is a product of the Junior NBA as well. So we can get some tidbits from Tony right here. Okay, let's get to business right now. And we will be joined by a few more people later. And so let us talk about Kai Sotto. He has been the hot topic for the past few weeks. And right now, what are the options for Kai Sotto after everything that happened to him? Things that could be might as well avoided or what? But it already happened. What are his options right now? Let's start with you, Tony, since you were part of the Junior NBA. You saw him grow up, literally. So, how do you see Kai Sotto moving on from this one?
It's funny you said I actually did see him grow up. His dad was my teammate. That's how old we are. So I would see him come into the gym as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old. It's this, tall, lanky kid, and I don't know what his options are. Or I don't know what's left for him, other than the fact that, from my understanding, I think his contract has run out with the G League, and I think, from my understanding, his options could be go to Europe, go to Japan, train somewhere. Definitely, I think his goal is the NBA, and I think, for me personally, I have a stake in it because I want to see a homegrown Filipino make the NBA. That's I want to see that. I think every Filipino wants to see that. I'm very grateful that Jordan Clarkson's in the league and he's doing well, but I think what Filipinos want is to see that kid that grew up in the Philippines, that was raised here, and makes it to the NBA, so they can say, hey, I can aspire to be that as well.
Okay, thank you, Tony. And how about you, Coach Chris? Being an international coach as well, you've seen the landscape of other countries, how they develop players. What are the options of Kai Sotto right now?
Well, the big thing is we're just fans. We don't have an inside track on the conversations that are taking place. Like, I remember when he was visiting schools in the United States, Duke and Georgetown and whatever. So that's when I really started following Kai Sotto and seeing what was going on. But then I could understand why he went to the G League, because that was the next step. He signed his contract. He was making some money. The big thing with me is what were the conversations when he left to come to his national team, when he left Ignite? To me, and we're not privy to those conversations. To me, that makes perfect sense. I'm gonna take a hiatus for the G League. I'm going to go to my national team. I'm going to help my national team win, and then we'll take it from there. Nobody knew COVID was going to hit. Nobody knew that the games are going to be postponed. So I keep reading online where people are like ragging on him, like, how could you leave the G League? You're going to get to the NBA. And I think it's a logical thing for me is to go to play for your national team. As long as you have permission on that to go play for your national team, go play. But to sum up, without taking too much of other people's time, I hope he plays for his third window and continually plays there for team national team that grows and develops there. And I hope he plays third window. That's just me before anything else. That's what I hope.
Okay, Sir Henry, it's your turn. I want to know your thoughts after what happened.
I have two things in mind, though. The first one, when God closes the door, He opens a window. And I think the second thing, I think he'll still be the first homegrown Filipino to make it to the NBA. That's how I see Kai Sotto as a player. The way at least the way he works hard for his craft. I have a feeling na even what happened in G League, outside of G League, of course, he has to be drafted at a 1-year development program, no, for athletes who don't want to go to college for that 1 year and done thing. No? So, but still, there are a lot of options for him going to Europe, maybe with Real Madrid, playing for the national team. And Megali is still young, 7'3" or 7'2" with the 7'5" span. He's going to turn 19 only in May 11th. So the sky's the limit for him. That's how I see it. No? I think I'll forget about what happened about the G League already, because that's water under the bridge. You can't do anything. But let's move forward and see that with his skills, with his height, I'm sure somebody will take a flyer on him.
Well, with what happened, I was reading what Sharif Abdurrahim, who is the G League president right now, on what happened. What do you think of the quote there that Kai is still part of the extended family of G League in G League Ignite?
For me, I think still I'm feeling it's a little bit, pardon me for saying, sugar coated, no? Just to make it feel good. I mean, any divorce or any departure between two parties, you feel good when you say good things about the being away, no? So I still have a feeling when he said that the Sharif Abdul Rahim, who's a former player now, I think Vancouver Grizzlies, the NBA, that it's a beautiful decision and that it's still part of family. But remember that Ignite team is only for 1 year this season. It's a development program. So after this one, no, you can go back to the G League because those are the elite players and he's selected, mind you. So that means something about him together with Asia. No? I think Principal Singh of India. No? So after this one, he has to be drafted. If it's not drafted, then let's move on. No? But other than that, if it's not drafted, there's Europe and there's a national team. And he's very young. So I feel maybe he, so long as he work at his craft, tread the straight and narrow path, he'll make it fine. Maybe if not the NBA, hopefully it's the NBA. If it's not, fine. He'll be an outstanding player in the future.
How about you, Coach Chris? What do you see that the quote right there from Sharif Abdurrahim, who is the G League president, is sugar coated as well, or is is the window still open for Kai to come back to the G League?
Of course the window's going to be open because he's 7'2" and he's talented. Because in the NBA you have to win games. So I agree with everything that Henry said. Water under the bridge, move forward. I do know that I know some clubs that just want the kid to play and let his play and his abilities speak for him. And I think sometimes, because of the political nature and with leagues and teams and in the NBA, they don't like a lot of voices going on. They want to deal with, they don't want all that extra noise. They want to get their player, work their player. And I think at some point, some of these handlers and some of these management people have to really step back and just let the kid play. Work on his weaknesses, as Tony can probably tell you better than anybody else watching him grow up. What his weaknesses are and play to his strengths, and and he is only 19 years old, but let his strengths and let his play speak for itself. And that will carry him. He doesn't need all these people gassing him up. At some point, those people got to keep quiet and let the kid do his thing on the court. And that's the way I feel about that.
Okay, Tony, how about you? What do you think of that statement by Sharif Abdurrahim? Is the window closed for Kai to come back to the G League with what he said, or was that sugar-coated?
I mean, I hope not. I hope he still has an opportunity. It seems like, it's a very pleasant thing to say. I'd be more concerned if it was, no, he's never ever coming back, and what's done is done. And so, sugar-coated or not, it's definitely like a positive statement. And I agree with Coach Chris. Like, if the kid can play, teams need to win games. And so, I know him personally, and he's not an attitude problem. He's a young kid that wants to support his country and wanted to play for his country, but at the same time too, he wants to. I'm sure his dream is to play in the NBA. So if he has the talent, which he definitely does, and the skills, which he definitely does, and he's only going to turn 19. I don't know why. I mean, I think I'd be concerned if he was 27, 28, and he's trying to get to the NBA, but he's not even out of his teens yet. So the sky is the limit for him. So I would see if an NBA team wanted him, why not take a chance on him? 7'2" and 7'2", and he is very skilled.
Okay, we were with Brian when we talked to Chris Townsend, first Filipino player to come to the to play in the National Basketball Association. But what he said to us that there are some Filipinos that would make it to the NBA if they would prefer to play there and stay there and try that path going to the NBA. And he also said if Junmar came there as well, maybe in his younger years, maybe he could have made it to the NBA. So you think Kai? Is it too early to say that Kai is done for the NBA? Tony, what do you think of that one?
No, not at all. I mean, this kid's still 18, about to turn 19.
I think what people are saying is what people are thinking that Kai could be a one and done player if he was in college, but sometimes it takes 3 years to get to the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think we have this conversation if Kai was 6'1", definitely talented, but there's a lot of 6'1". But the fact that he's 7'2" and he can do what he can do, and he's gonna improve, he's gonna get stronger, he's gonna get quicker, he's gonna get smarter, he's gonna get more experience. That you can't teach that. You can't teach the height. So again, he's very skilled. I watch his workouts on YouTube. I'll look him up, and I'm like very impressed with how far he's come because I remember those junior NBA days. Obviously, he was a young kid. So just his level of improvement, and again, being around that competition day in and day out gives him the confidence. So, he's, to me, it might take a couple of years, but when he gets there and he's comfortable and confident, I'm really excited for him.
Okay, Coach Chris, how long do you think that Kai should try for the NBA? I mean, he's 18.
He should try for as long as he can. I remember, back when one and dones and things like that were just getting going. I've been in basketball now 30 years. So I remember that, and I was always like against it. And I'm like, stay in school, develop in school. And, it's great atmosphere to play in the NC2As for Duke or for somebody like that. But I remember then when I go to Portsmouth, Virginia for the NBA pre-draft, and I started talking to some of my NBA friends, and they said, we want players when they're young. We want them to get them in our system, to get them with our staffs, to mold them and shape them in the players that we want. This kid's 18, 19 years, going to be 19 years old. This is right this is where they want them. So, and I said, stay 4 years. I was a big 4-year guy. And now I've completely changed when it comes to the NBA because they don't want 4-year guys. They want to get guys in their system with their coaching staffs to work on their stuff. And that's why they sign guys. That's why they have their own G League teams now. And that's why they sign guys to multi-year contracts. They can stay within their system and work with their people and become their type of player. So it's right there. It's right there for them. And somebody, like Tony says, he's not 6'1", he's 7'2". So that's rare, And when you're 7'2" and you're strong and you've got good hands and you can run the floor, people are going to come to you. It's not like you got to go to them because you have a value. And when you have a value, people are going to get you and they're going to sign you or they're going to work with you because it's money and winning games and championships, and that's what it's all about.
Okay, so how about you, Sir Henry? Right now, you've seen a lot of players already in the PBA in the Philippines, but you think that Kai Sotto is still in the mix to make it to the NBA? But most of all, what do you think is the right route for him right now?
Let's put it this way, no? That invite team is for only 1 year. Good for 1 year. It's for people who want to be seen, not to be drafted. So if he goes out after this season, it's no longer for the D League. You go up higher. The G League is just like a farm team. Because if it doesn't get drafted, you have a problem. But remember, even if you get drafted, I'm sure they will take note of your height. 7'2", 7'3", that young. I've not seen a Filipino player as great as he is without any defect, no? Because some people say you have gigantism. He doesn't have that, and he has all the tools. So I have a feeling after this episode, he goes already maybe Europe, find a place in the Philippines, and I still feel he could well be stay on court. He could still be the next great hope of Philippine basketball. No? So I have no worries about him. He's still young. He will develop. Because I don't think even after this episode, it has got into his head. I don't think it's out of his hand actually, because he himself maybe he doesn't make those decisions for himself. But when he turns 20, 21, I'm sure you will see the best Kai Sotto that he can be.
It's too early pa, no? But Coach Tony, how about you? Right now, we know Ervin Sotto and the family, and for an 18-year-old to be, let's say, getting this kind of criticism, what do you think is going on behind the scenes there?
I mean, the spotlight is on this kid. He's basically holding the entire Philippines on his shoulders. Every Filipino wants to play in the NBA. I think that. We love basketball here in the Philippines. And he is one of our legitimate chances, and everyone vicariously rooting for him, cheering for him, and I think that's a huge amount of pressure. And so, we don't, obviously, like what Chris said, we don't know what the inside track is, we don't know what kind of conversations they're having, but can you imagine the amount of pressure he feels daily to not only perform and make it to the NBA for himself, but for the entire nation, but the pressure to come back and play and represent the country. I'm sure he's trying to balance that. He wants to represent the U.S., he wants to represent the nation in that way as well, and help the Philippines make the Olympics, help the Philippines better their national team program. So I can just only imagine the amount of pressure that he's probably under, and to go through that at 18, 19 years old. I could barely tie my shoe and chew gum at 18 and 19. I didn't know what decisions I was going to make when I was 18 and 19. I thought I knew everything. And you add that with social media, that just that's a
It's gonna
recipe
explode.
for a lot of anxiety and pressure. So I think more than anything, his dad and mom are going to guide him. I'm sure they have good people in his corner that are definitely going to try to know what's best for not only him, but at the end of the day, he is an adult and he needs to make choices. But I wish him well, and I really.
Coach Chris, do you think it's good right now? Maybe he, while waiting for some competition in basketball, maybe he could spend time with a national team and maybe go up against Thailand.
Oh yeah, but that's why I said in my opening remarks was I'd love to see him play that third window and then stick with his national team because he's surrounded by family, surrounded by friends. He's playing for his country. I feel it will reduce some pressure off versus having to go to a strange place in Europe and start all over again. With a coach and a system that he may not know, food, living situation that he's not comfortable with. Or when you go to the United States and you're surrounded by people, everybody tugging at you so much. I think that to play in that third window, I think is, for me, like I said, I'm on the outside and we don't know the inside tracks. But I would think that would be a good situation to stay grounded, stay working, play, get better, especially with what you have coming up now with the New Zealand situation. Boy, what a great to showcase before the world with arguably your friends and family right there. I just think that's a good spot to be in, where you can work and just have some of that. There's pressures, tremendous amount of pressures on this player. But I just think it's just better when you can sleep in your bed with your people, in your home, comfortable setting. I think that's the best. For me, if I was guiding, I'd say that's the best situation. And then come next year, certainly I could see a summer league situation coming up, the NBA draft coming up. I just see so many things. But for right now, because of all this pressure, me personally, I say play third window and just see what your national team goes right here in your country and more of a comfort level for me.
Sir Henry, you want to say something?
I'll go further. I'd like to see him in Serbia. Serbia is very close for the FIBA qualifying tournament, pre-Olympic. That's June 29, June 30. He should be ready. I think he's in a top shape. No? I'd like to see him there. No? And remember, what he underwent now, no, is good for him in the future. As a person, Ernest Hemingway, the author, he said, grace under pressure is courage. He could be one of the most pleasant people who have overcome adversity at a young age and go above that, no? So that's what I'd like to see in Kai down the road, no? Overcome whatever adversities he has now, move up, move on, and see, be a better person, not only as a player, I think a better person, and that's what would like, perhaps a role model for the Philippine basketball.
How about you, Coach Tony? You think maybe going up against Nikola Jokic in this FIBA OQT would increase the draft stock of Kai?
Yes, of course. I mean, if he's playing against top competition and he's getting his feet wet against it, and again, showcasing, like Coach Chris said, like you're showcasing what you can do. And again, I don't think we need to keep repeating this, but we have to. He's only going to be 19 years old. I mean, that's still so young. And if he gets into a system that can, like Coach Chris said, these NBA teams want to get you early so that they can train you and feed you and mold you, and you learn systems and you learn how to play against top quality at 18, 19, 20 years old. Where will you be when you're 23, right? And you're not even at your peak yet. You're not actually at your prime. So sky's the limit for this kid. His skill set at 7'2" is pretty amazing. His hands are nice, and he continues to play against top competition, especially internationally. It's going to be great.
Coach Chris, do you agree that the FIBA OQT is the best way to increase his draft stock once again?
You got to use the word projection. These people that you have to project where a player's going to be 2 years, 3 years down the road. You got to remember, like Tony said, it's his age. So the quote-unquote experts, they're going to look at where do they project. So the more he plays against top competition, even if he doesn't do well, you can still project how he's going to be. You don't have to rely on one game or one series. You can still look at a player and say he has the tools. It just wasn't his day. Or you can still project if you're I just think because of social media now and everybody's an expert and everybody can point fingers and get on Twitter and say their piece, but once you're in it, once you're in those circles and you're in that world, you get us where you can project a player and see where a player's going to be. And people just have to relax, take it easy. He has to relax, and his handlers have to relax. Just go play. Just go play. Work on your weaknesses and play to your strengths, and everything will take care of itself because he's still 18 years old, and he's still 7'2", and he still has good hands, and none of that is going to change. So let it go. That's.
Brian, you have a question for these guys.
Yeah, actually, my question here is: we're all coaches, right? You're all coaches. Assuming you had the chance to, I mean, you were handling Kai. What would you be, advising him right now? I'd like to go with Coach Chris again first.
What would I be advising him?
Yep.
If he was on my club, is that your question?
Yep.
My stuff is pretty simple. Show up early, stay late, keep your mouth shut. I'm going to put you in positions where you're going to succeed. Let's go to work and let's what takes place on the court. Let that do the talking for us. We're all judged, everybody on this panel, by wins and losses and how we do our players. So to pigeonhole a player in a certain system and things like that, I don't believe in that. I mold and shape my systems to the players that I have. But if you're asking me if I had them on my team, that's what I would say. Show up early, stay late, keep your mouth shut, let's go to work. And I'm going to put you in positions to succeed. And I'm just a stepping stone to the next step. So I'm going to help you as long as you meet me halfway. As long as you're doing the things you're going to be doing, and as long as you're taking care of your business, I'm going to do everything in my power, A, to win ball games and championships with you, but B, push you to the next step where you want to go. So that if he was on my club, that would be a conversation we would have. It'd be very short, and the basketballs would come out. We go to work.
Nice,
That is something that Coach Tony would love to answer. I mean, you coached this kid firsthand when he was just coming up in the junior NBA.
Yeah, I mean, right now at this point, I'd ask him, what does he want? What do you want to do? Do you want to go to the NBA? Do you and based on that answer, and I'm sure it would be yes, then like Coach Chris says, you have to do the work. There's no other ins or buts. Like if you have the passion and the drive and the goal to get there, you're gonna show up early. You're gonna leave late. You're gonna work when you're sore. You're gonna do the extra things to get to that extra space or that extra place. But yeah, if I was coaching him, I would ask him first, what is your goal? What's your end goal? If your end goal is to play PBA, then that's what you're going to do. But if your end goal is to play NBA and be the best player that you can possibly be there, then you got to put in the work. And so far, I'm very impressed with how far he's come, but he still has a long way to go if he's going to make noise in the NBA. And I don't think that it's too far off. He has the tools and the potential to do it.
Sir Henry, you have things to say right now.
Maybe the thing that probably fatherly advice: persevere and persist. If you want to reach that goal, go for it. The sky's the limit. Number two, maybe practice self-discipline. Don't live in the fast lane because that would be the pitfall of so many athletes. They goes into their head, never came out. Also, if there's something maybe as a person I'd like him to be stronger, I mean physically, is to bulk up. I think he needs some to do that. So maybe a conditioning coach will work. But as I said, the sky's the limit for him so long as he has that mentality that persevere, whatever comes your way, adversity, just forget about it and strive harder.
And there are even before the projection height for Kai is like 7'3" or 7'4". If he gets that extra 2 inches, that is a very marketable to be in the NBA already. But all right, now wrapping things up, we are going.
No. Well, My host has hanged. I guess what he was gonna say was, we're going to wrap up the Kai Sotto thing first, and now we're going to shift to the latest news. I guess everybody's heard of it, right? Okay, and here he is. Give me get back.
Okay, thank you, Brian, for filling up. But anyway, we were talking about the recent news right now is that the Philippines is included in the FIBA Olympic qualifying tournament. Last time that happened, it was in here in the Philippines, and we had a good team under Coach Todd Baldwin, but we fell short in qualifying for the next round. And I with this, what do you think? I mean, we are back at it against Serbia and Dominican Republic. Am I right, Brian? It's Dominican Republic.
Right. Right.
The top two will move to the second round.
I told you we should have Kara.
Well. Of course, you're moving to the second round. You need to at least win one to move to the second round. What do you think our chances here? How far can we go? How about, Coach Chris? You're familiar with international basketball.
Oh well, the players that you have there in the Philippines matching up against those clubs, certainly you can compete. Now the ball can bounce either way any given Sunday, you know that. But to think that you cannot go ahead and win your ball games with that, I think is a mistake. Certainly you're deep. You have bigs at your disposal. You have your organizational plan already in place. You know, it's just a question of getting everybody on the same page. You know, and not necessarily getting your best players, but getting your players that fit within the framework of your coach's systems and philosophies. And once that is achieved, certainly you can compete. Absolutely, no doubt at all.
Coach Tony, what do you think? What are our chances here?
Well, obviously, I'm very optimistic. I mean, I think in the last 10 years of our national team program, you know, the Philippines has been treated to so many great games. You know, we're having some obviously ups and downs. You know, there's big moments and big moments, but at the end of the day, like, I agree with Coach Chris. As long as you get the players that are going to vibe with what the system is, you don't necessarily have to get the best players, but you have to get the best players that are going to play the best in the system to play together. And you're right. I mean, it's going to come down to the wire, and you know, there might be a missed shot here, a made shot here, and you know, like you said, you got to win that one game. You can go to the next round. So I think that definitely a possibility. I am very optimistic. I that's another thing I want to see before I pass away is I want to see the Philippines make the Olympics. You know, I think that'll be a great thing for everyone. So those are my bucket list for basketball: is to see a homegrown Filipino make the NBA and the Philippines make the Olympics.
Okay, Sir Henry, how about you? I mean, wearing that Pilipinas t-shirt right now.
I think the answer is
This says
obvious.
it all, no? This says it all. Think of this way. 2016, when we were qualifying for the Olympics, pre-Olympic qualifier tournament in Manila, we lost to France and New Zealand. They had all the NBA players there they wanted. France won the tournament. But remember, this time, the Serbian team, they won't have 6 of their NBA players. They're playing the NBA.
Mhm.
There are 2 Dominican Republic players, Al Horford and Carl Anthony Towns. They're in the NBA. So that alone gives us some hope. Some hope maybe we can come up with a good team as good as maybe 216. Of course, some of them are too old for the 2021 tournament. But they're not big. Even if you say Serbia beat us 126 to 67 last year, no? At 2019, the World Cup, they don't have those NBA players when they go to the Belgrade Serbia qualifying tournament. No? So that alone, we have a good chance. And perhaps we can beat Dominican Republic. And it takes only one victory. The win over them to make the close pairing. Of course, it will be Herculean task, no? It's very hard. But you know, when you go to war, you have to be optimistic.
Okay, Coach Tony, you think the recent outing of the national team in the FIBA World Tournament has a good effect on us on this one. We're getting some experience in that high level. We bowed Serbia before. This time around, we're gonna perform better.
Yeah, obviously, you have to take a loss in terms of how you're going to learn from it. And this experience of not only the players, but like the whole program in this international level competition is a great training tool. And we gotta look at the videotape and look at past games to learn from it. But again, I think preparation is everything, and the fact that we've been there before in big competitions, international competitions, is just going to set the stage for us to, hey, this is what we did last time. This is what we can do on this time. This is hopefully how we overcome it.
How about you, Coach Chris? Right now, of course, we're talking about bringing the best Filipino players. But if you are the coach of the Philippine team, who are in your wish list to be on that team?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. It's my favorite Philippine player is Fajardo, your center. Oh, he's my favorite player. And I know with the foot injury or whatever else, but if you ask me who I'd love to have, he would certainly be one that I think he's a fantastic center, and he's made his money in many different places. I think he does so many things so fundamentally well. His footwork's fantastic, steals well in the post, distributes the ball well. There's no doubt. But if you look at, I take your SEA Games team that we played against in the gold medal game just recently versus your SEA Games team from years past, the leaps and bounds that Philippine basketball is taking, it's not even a comparison. From 2 years, every 2 years, it's just the improvements. And because you have everybody backing it, and that's the thing, your organization is getting stronger. Your international organization is getting stronger. So as long as everybody stays on the same page, and like Tony said, everybody getting on that organizational page, sky's the limit. And yes, I believe that you can certainly compete on. I'll say it again, you can compete on those levels because you're growing so much. You're maturing. Your basketball is maturing at such a rapid pace that, and because of your country so basketball crazy. From the outside looking in, just from what I see, that next year you're going to be better than this year as a country. In 2 years, be better. It just continually keeps growing because your ball is rolling. Your ball is rolling so fast that it's just a matter. Look at your players that are in the NBA. You got Kai Sotto knocking on the door of the NBA. You didn't have that before. Now look at what you have going on. It's just steamrolling. And as long as people can get on the same page with that, absolutely you can play. But Fajardo's my favorite Philippine player. So by far.
I have a question that, Coach, I don't know if it's going to be the same. Ernest asked you who you would ask from the Philippines. I'm gonna ask you, who would you not want to face if the Philippines were to put up a team?
Who would I not want to face?
Yep. Which players would you not want to play if it comes to a point that Thailand and the Philippines face each other? Just a scenario.
Well, I'll be honest. I really don't I don't want to dodge your question, but I like to prepare my clubs against anybody, and I like to compete and against anybody, and I respect good basketball. So some coaches have animosity against really good teams, and that's just out of jealousy or for whatever reason. But for me, when I see, we got smacked by you guys in the gold medal game, but I respected it because it wasn't the score, but it was a passion that Philippines played. They had an inside-outside game, which I respected. Players understood roles, which I respected. So for me, even though, I wanted to win the gold medal, I wanted Thailand to win the gold medal. I was mad we didn't win, but I respected it because we played against a beautiful team of basketball, and that's what I was. So to answer your question, I don't really dislike. I just have a respect and a passion for really good clubs, and so it's not my place to judge other clubs. I just have a respect for good basketball, and I just want to compete. I want to present my team to compete against the best, and perform at a level that's respectable, that fans and everybody can say that's a well-coached team. Win or lose or draw. This is like a baker who's baking a cake. You want to present a great. That's the way I look at it. So I know that might not answer your question with specifics, but I'm just telling you my philosophies about how I approach everything. Indonesia, when we played Indonesia in the SEA Games, Vietnam in the SEA Games, Malaysia in the SEA Games, and the Philippines in the SEA Games, I just want to present a good product on the floor that I can be proud of. And whoever the opponent is, I don't care. That you can still do good. You can get smashed by a club and still do good things on the basketball court. And that's the way I look at it.
All right. Okay, Coach, while you're there, here is a question. Here's a comment from your favorite, someone you've been mentioning since earlier. It's from Kara.
That's my gal. She's my gal.
Yeah. What is the one thing that you feel that the national team should improve on to ensure long-term growth, so we don't end up losing to the countries like Iran who don't have basketball as a priority?
Again, I just think your teams are your basketball is improving so much. Your teams are improving so much. Your players are improving so much. You can't look at it like Henry said earlier. That's all water under the bridge. Your future is bright. Your future is strong. So just work with that, and good things are coming because your players are improving so much. It's just a question of just letting basketball people handle basketball things organizationally, bring in players that fit that system, put your egos aside, and produce good basketball, and you'll compete with everybody. Iran, everybody, it doesn't matter. That's the way I feel.
Okay. Tony, can you answer? You want to answer that also?
Sure. I think it's two things, and the second part might get me in trouble, but oh well.
Okay.
The first thing is, I think it's the grassroots program. Like, you need to create a foundation of, you need to plan ahead. Like, obviously, when are the Olympics? When is the FIBA World Cup, right? When can we legitimately say, okay, let's produce teams that are going to be good 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 years from there? But we have to have these grassroots programs that are going to teach kids the right way to play basketball, system basketball, teach them fundamental ways to shoot basketballs, play defense. You know, obviously, we can improve our nutrition and our strength programs for these kids, their recovery from workouts. So I think it has to start with that grassroots program. The second part is, I really think, and this is something that I stand by, is I really think that they need to change in the high school. I don't agree with 24 seconds because they want to go with FIBA, because I feel like the kids aren't learning basketball at that high school level if they're shooting so fast. I think if you gave them more time to shot clock, you would teach the kids or force the kids to have to play defense for 30 seconds, or 32 seconds, whatever the shot clock is. But I think that's the biggest part right there, is because when these kids come out of high school, they're so rushed to, they're playing for 34 seconds. And I think that a 14, 15, 16-year-old kid is just learning how to play fast. And I don't have a problem with that, other than the fact that they also need to learn how to stay in a stance, jump ball side for long periods of time. Discipline on coming off screens, not just this fast break basketball. That's my biggest critique. I've always tried to push for that, but I know that the big argument, they want to keep it in line with FIBA, 24 seconds. But I think that's the one thing. If high school here in the Philippines can change the shot clock to 30 seconds at least, it'll definitely force the players to have to play longer basketball, longer possessions.
All right. Sir Henry.
Okay. Sir Henry.
I agree what Tony said, no? Grassroots program. And I think we did that with the Christian, remember? Way back. It was so young then, we say we'll give them 4 or 5 years. Unfortunately, we changed pack, no? We did different, put in a little some pro players with the other players. So I thought we were in the right path, no? Doing that grassroots program. And also, if I had I had the hope to stay for the player to stay away from sports agents. I don't know why. These sports agents are not being, perhaps, I'm sorry to say, not teaching the at the young, so young athletes, they're so vulnerable to a lot of temptation because of the agents. I'm very sorry to say that because they're good. Some are good sports agents, but these are also young kids. You tell them this is it. This is you're thinking of something other, maybe perhaps not in the best interest of the kid, no? And I still feel that the grassroots program is the right path. So long we go to that path, shy them away from those sports agents, might not be actually in their best interest. That's, I think, a positive move for them, no, to grow on their own because they have to grow on their own also without any interference from others. Of course, we're not just qualifying their parents. So I think their parents would have a say also. But other than that, especially in the college level, you see a lot of even high school student athletes having an agent. Can you imagine that sports agent? They still have milk in their mouth. I don't see. So we have to do something about that, especially if we are going to train not only good athletes, good citizens of this country.
Yeah, amen. But anyway, going back, I'll steer it back to the FIBA Olympic qualifying tournament that was just announced I think it's yesterday. Okay, so Coach Tony, do you think is there one player in the PBA right now who has not made it to the national team that is due to have his chance? Who comes to your mind?
Wow. Put me on
Is
the
that a
spot.
tough question?
Definitely a tough question. Again, and I think it goes down to what Coach Chris was talking about earlier. Who's the coach? What's the system? How do you want to play? Right? Are we going to play like, do we want to go extremely tall and long? Do we want to go, a little smaller and quicker? Do we want everyone to be some of the same height so we can switch everything? Like, so I think that's a hard question. Drawing a blank right now, just in terms of who's deserving or not deserving. But I think that if every player in the PBA is saying, hey, I'd love to enter the pool, and then the coach decides this is the style of basketball we want to play, and then that player is obviously fits that style and that role, I think that'll be great. But player, how about this? Give me some names that haven't made it, and I can tell you.
Okay, I'll make it easier for you. Give me 5 names that should be there. Just 5, not the entire 12. Maybe just 5.
I definitely think that Gabe Norwich is still, he doesn't age, so he's a great leader. Obviously, very athletic, still with his age, and that's not a knock on his age. But he knows the FIBA game well. He knows the international game well. A healthy Junmar, where will he be with his leg breaking? I like Chris Daleo, and just in how he plays basketball. Like he has that international game. But then you also have to have shooters. Someone of the likes of like Jeff Chan, like that kind of shooting. But depends the direction you want to go. And point guard wise, obviously I love LA Tenorio. But if he's not up for the task, if he chooses not to, I think you got to look for maybe Stanley Pringle. Definitely should be mentioned. And I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a hard decision. Obviously, I'm not coaching. But if I was, I'd have to sit down and really take a hard look at what style of basketball I want to. Just because you have the best players doesn't mean you have the best team. There's going to have to be some real role players.
Okay, so since we're getting to that style of basketball, I want to ask Coach Chris. Coach Chris, you've seen the Philippines play. What is the best asset of the Philippines when it comes to international basketball?
The best asset, and I can only I'll bring out like what Tony said about Christian Stan Hardinger. All right, when you talk about NBA, you talk about what's going on. Now you take this kid. Now back a few years ago, he wouldn't even be considered. Okay, 6'8", 6'9", limited from range, 15 feet, whatever. But now where you have a guy like that works his butt off, obviously is a great teammate. He never takes a play off, and it's going to push other players to be better. That's the guy that you're going to take a look at, and you're going to say, yeah, I want that guy in my camp. Let's just say if I'm Sacramento, let's just say. I want that guy in my camp because he's going to push other players. He's going to show up. He's going to be, he's not spoiled. He has no ego. He's just going to work a guy. Then with that situation, then you never know what's going to happen with the people above him, injury or whatever. But so getting back to your question, what does Philippines have going for it? They have players like that really represent the game, respect the game, respect the coaches, and respect their country, that play hard all the time. And that's really what impresses me the most. I think if you're looking at your national team program, I mean, some of these guys, Pringle's another one. He'll kill you for a win. Never takes a play off. Busts his ass all the time. And for that, you have to respect. And those, for some coaches, they look at that and they're like, yeah, I need that guy. If I'm an NBA, I don't need a guy that's going to come in and get me 45 minutes or 38 minutes a game. I need a guy that's going to give me 6 minutes a game and bust his ass for that 6 minutes. And that's where roles can be filled. And I've had that in my time. I had little Earl Boykins. I drafted him out of school when I was in the CBA. He was just so small. But Eric Musselman, who was coach of Sacramento Kings, brought him on because he fit that style of play. Where other people said, no, he's too small, we don't want him. But that's an example of that. And the list goes on and on and on of it like that. Robert Horry, if you want, that's another one. Just a guy who just worked so hard and fit in, didn't question things, showed up early, and fulfilled a role. And you guys have a plethora of players like that. And that's the strength of your country and your program.
Okay, Coach, Coach Henry, Sir Henry. I
Number
just
one,
yes already.
I like
But
Stan
anyway,
Hardinger. I like Stan Hardinger on the team, no? So long as this citizenship issue is cleared, no? Number two, I want guys who don't look at the box score. That's what how many points, rebounds. If I'm gonna look at the box, I would rather look at the PER, performance efficiency rating. That is your plus and minus points while you're on the floor. Very important. And I'd like somebody, I hope he gets younger. Okay, can I have a younger GB Alapag? This guy, he could have been the best player actually, from a position because he's somebody, the leadership skills. I mean, he'll die for you on the court. He'll die for you all the hustle. I like him. He's small, but he's big with his heart. We need somebody who can really be the leader. You don't put up a team with all the superstars, then you don't have a leader. The guy who played the straw that starts the Philippines break, the guy will die for you. No points, no rebounds, no assists. The team wins. You need the guy. And I hope GB Alapag is listening. I hope he comes back at a younger age. Maybe.
all right, thank you very much, everyone, because we're just limited to 1 hour, but I'm sure we'll have more roundtable talks like this. It's an imaginary roundtable, but hopefully we can get to you guys as well. But of course, right now, let me get your final thoughts about, of course, the Kai Sotto and the national team. Let's start with you, Sir Henry,
For Kai,
and the national team as well.
3 words: persevere and persist. No matter what adversity has come to you, you'll be there. Go for it. Let's see you in Serbia.
In Serbia,
Serbia for the qualifying
against
tournament.
Serbia, baka
Oh, Belgrade, Serbia. The
in
qualifying
Serbia
tournament.
is different from against Serbia. So
No, he'll be in Serbia to play for the
Okay.
national team.
okay.
Like
So,
to be there.
okay, how about Coach Chris?
My words for Kai Sotto, just keep doing what you just go to work and things will happen. You're a wanted commodity. So don't jump. It's like Christmas morning. Everybody gets so excited because it's Christmas. But really, when you get down there, things aren't exactly the way they all work it out. Just be slow and steady. Do your work. Things will come. Don't jump. Don't jump around. and just let things come to you, because they will. Because you're 18 years old and you're 7'2" and you're skilled and you have a value, and the basketball world sees you have a value. So just do your stuff and work on that, and everything will come to you. Don't fret, don't worry, don't jump it. It'll all come. Come talk to me when you're 24 and you're making millions, because I might need a little money at that point to buy a pizza.
Coach Tony.
Basically, I tell him, block out all the noise and just do you. At the end of the day, like it's his journey, it's his life, and I'm wishing him well. Do I hope he makes the NBA? Absolutely, 100%. At the end of the day, it's his journey, and he knows what's best for him. And I hope he can block out the noise of everyone talking, everyone trying to be in his ear and tell him this is what he needs to do, this is what he needs to do, and just focus on who he is and what he needs to do for himself. So, and good things are going to come no matter what. And in terms of the national team in Gilas, I really, really, truly hope this is our chance to make the Olympics. I really want to see that. And I think it'll just, again, bring the country together, and everyone is rooting for Gilas. So just wish them well.
Okay, I pass on the mic to our producer right now, Brian Yalung, and maybe we could get the final statements from these guys.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you to everybody. I mean, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I've been talking to Tony, to Coach Chris. Actually, there's one more missing here. I wasn't able to tell him, but just to give Chris and Tony a bit of an idea, Coach Mike and I have something planned. We'll be coaching. We'll be doing something. I'll be working with it. So maybe the final words from let's start with what Tony, your final words before, or if you want to promote something.
I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be on here. And again, Philippine basketball I feel like there's nothing like it on earth. Everyone's so passionate about it, and I think more than anything, we just want to see Gilas to the upcoming Gilas team. Like, everyone is rooting for you, supporting you, and no matter what, we got your back. And again, that's it. God bless. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tony. How about Coach Chris?
Oh, me, it's easy. I want to say thank you for having me. Just to have somebody call me and ask me to talk is great for me. But to sit here with a legendary writer like Henry it's an honor for me. And with Tony, this is the first time ever corresponding with him, even though I've watched PBA teams and play over the last couple of years. It's great for me. So for me, I just want to say thanks. I just appreciate getting the call. Thank you very much.
This won't be the last, Coach.
That's fine. I'm always here. Here. I appreciate it. Just thank you for asking me.
Yeah. And of course, Coach Henry. Sir Henry, my price, right? The price, I mean, you have to read these articles. Coach Chris, Tony, you're going to get a lot of education from Philippine basketball from him.
Guys, can I ask a favor? Mark July 2 in your calendar. That's the day we played Dominican Republic. A few years ago, we had problems with July 2. Remember that RP Australia? This time, July 2 in Serbia, we played the Dominican Republic. And if we win, we will be going to the Olympics for the first time since 1972. So guys, mark this date already in your calendar. July 2, Philippine time. Thank you very much.
Sir Henry, crystal ball. Nasa crystal ball ba yata? Baka nasa mali siya. Parang crystal ball. Anyway, Ernest, salamat sa pagtulong. Ang laking gumaan yung gagawin ko. Thank you.
Ako nga yung biglang nahirapan English tayo ngayon
Oo, diba? At least, diba, enjoy yung final words mo. Tapos
Yeah. Anyway, para sa mga for those who are here right now listening and watching our Sports Bytes, please do like the page and like Sports on Air as well. And we will be cross-posting a lot of shows already between us. And again, for those who are also on YouTube, we have a YouTube page for Sports on Air. Please do subscribe so you can also have that option to watch the shows there. And with that, back to you, Brian.
Hindi ako sanay ako yung magsasara. Alam ko, ikaw yung nagsasara. You're the
Ikaw
one who's
na.
always posting. Anyway, thank you everybody, and promise we will have more shows with Coach Chris, Coach Tony, and of course Sir Henry. And Ernest will also help me when I need it. And on that note, good night everybody. Have a happy weekend.
Thank you.